The second month in my journey to take art from a hobby to a full-time job is now complete. And while it was a rough one, it was also a very important one. If you've watched my video about failure and resilience, I've definitely made it clear in the past that I wanted to take this business slow. I wanted to give myself time to make mistakes and clear out a path that felt right for me. I had no plans to leave my full-time job until I had enough of a safety net to comfortably take that leap. And because I'm very risk averse, I needed that safety net to be very big and very sturdy before I would feel comfortable doing that. Obviously, life had other plans, and I'm grateful that I was kind of given a push to take that risk, but it did really require me to change my approach to art and accept that I couldn't really do things the way that I had planned. In that video, I had talked about how I've seen artists that have grown really quickly because they make decisions based on profit optimization, and they share a lot of advice about picking a profitable niche, even if it's something that they don't feel connected to or passionate about. And I've seen those same artists get burnt out because they get the ball rolling in a direction that they are not passionate about, and then suddenly they're caught up in this avalanche that's headed toward a direction that isn't right for them. So my goal was to take things slow, make sure that I always had an outside source of income that I could rely on, so that I could make sure that I was carving out a path that I was not only passionate about, but that I was going to stay passionate about. But now that art is my sole source of income, I definitely have to make decisions based on profit optimization because I need profit to survive and pay my bills. However, I'm grateful for this in a lot of ways because it's forced me to take this shit seriously. I always told myself that I would only do art as a career if it stayed fun. I think a lot of us have this fear that turning art into a job will take all of the joy out of it. So I always told myself if I started resenting it, if I stopped having fun, I would stop doing art as a job and turn it back into a hobby. But honestly, now that I've taken this seriously for a couple months, I don't feel that way because I don't feel like I'm choosing between doing art for fun versus doing art for money. I feel like I'm choosing between doing art for money versus doing something I don't enjoy for money. Obviously, there's downsides to this, but there's also downsides to every job, and I get to craft this job into something that I love. And every time that I feel stressed or burnt out, I have to stop myself and be like, I get to wake up every day and do the thing that I've always wanted to do. And I've definitely never felt that in another job. All that being said, I do hope to get a part-time job soon because I do want to get back to a point where the trajectory of this business is based on what I'm passionate about, not necessarily what will make me the most money the fastest. My 2025 plan is not changing. Art is not going to take a back seat. I'm just really craving some certainty and financial security. All of this to say, February was a little hard. I had set some really extreme goals and I had established some pretty unrealistic habits in January, and I had kind of built my yearly plan around the expectation that I was going to be able to work at 100% capacity every single month, and that really was not realistic. I was churning out art like crazy in January because I wasn't taking commissions yet and I wasn't posting on social media yet, so all of my time went to making art. And my 2025 print release schedule, my 2025 content plan, all kind of hinged on my ability to create that amount of art every single month. But once I added back in handling orders, doing commissions, posting content every day, there was really no room left to make art. But I'm glad that this happened early on because now I can pivot my plans to make sure that they are sustainable no matter what happens. Because I had built my plan in January under this assumption that I was going to be able to work at 100% all of the time, I didn't build any room in for getting a part-time job, getting sick, getting an influx of commission orders, and that is not realistic. I needed to build in safeguards to make sure that my business was still able to run normally, even if any of those things or something completely unforeseen happens. I'm very proud of myself because in the past, this is the point where I start to get scared and quit. Once that kind of initial dopamine hit of trying something new fades, it's really easy to convince yourself that you don't actually enjoy this as much as you thought you would, or it's a lot harder than you thought it would be, or that you were stupid for ever thinking that this would work. But this time around, I realized that I owe it to myself and to the people who believe in me to see this through. Maybe this is a stupid metaphor, but you know when you have an infection and you have to take a full round of antibiotics because if you stop halfway through, the infection could become treatment resistant? I feel like doubt is like that infection, and every time that you quit, that doubt just becomes stronger. Because by quitting, you're proving your doubts right. You're proving to the little voice in your head that's telling you you can't do it, that you actually can't do it. And then every time that you go to try something new, it gets harder and harder because your self-doubt is now armed with evidence that you have failed. That's not to say that everything that you try needs to be something that you do forever, but I do think we owe it to ourselves to be resilient and to see our goals through to the end. Anyway, this month was a little challenging, but I pushed through it. I ended strong. And honestly, as I was writing the script for this video, I realized that my checklist and my benchmarks and my monthly goals still were pretty strong. So I'm excited to go into March now that I realized that this setback didn't have any impact on my long-term motivation or drive for this to work. It just required me to build a contingency plan for the periods where I'm not able to work 10-hour days, 7 days a week like I was doing in January. And if I do end up getting a part-time job soon, obviously that plan will have to be adjusted again, but I think that's good. That cycle of trying, failing, learning, succeeding, and improving is what actually makes you good at something. All right, let's get into my monthly goals. First was be consistent on YouTube with 2 to 3 uploads every month. And I did do that. I posted 3 YouTube videos last month. Next was to send my email newsletter monthly. I did this as well. Monitor data and optimize monthly is pretty much automatically checked off as long as I make this video. Continue creating new art, finishing 1 piece a month. I did do this. Let me see if I have it next to me. I did do this. I will insert a picture of what I was working on. Next was promote prints at least 5 times a month. I did this as well. Next was be consistent with outreach. I am checking this off solely because I did make a plan and I did make a list of people who I could see myself collaborating or partnering with. And that is a big step in the right direction, but I still do plan to wait on actually doing outreach until I build up a bigger collection of work. Next is take care of my physical and mental health, taking at least 1 day off a week. I'm going to check this off because I did technically take days off, but I don't really think that I was treating them as full rest days because I was stressed about the things that I hadn't gotten done yet. Next was connect with my community. I said this last month too, but this was honestly my favorite part of the month, was just being able to chat with you all about where you're at in your art journeys. Next was post on Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest 2 to 3 times a week. I did this as well. And lastly was stay focused and don't start new ideas until goals are met. I will talk about this later. I did kind of let myself get distracted, but I also think that I might want to make that my main focus for a little bit, but I'll get into that a little later. So despite feeling a little burnt out, feeling a little lost in the direction I'm headed, I still did check off 10 out of 10 of my monthly goals. So hell yeah, I hope that I can keep that up now that I've hopefully formed a habit. Next is my February to-do list. The first thing was to finish my giveaway. If you're new here, in January I had run a commission giveaway. I do architectural illustrations, and this giveaway was so fun. I loved reading through everyone's stories, and I'm very excited to send the drawing to the winner. Even though I'm not planning on commissions being my main focus anymore, I still kind of want to do these giveaways once a year because reading these stories, reading people's connections to these locations really reminded me why I was so excited about this idea. My next goal was to get 4 months ahead scheduling social media, website, and email content. I did not do this because I'm yet again evaluating what purpose social media serves for me. When I built out my marketing plan, social media was definitely an afterthought, and because these platforms have such a short shelf life, I feel pressure to be posting something new every single day, and I just don't have something new to show every single day. And I just don't feel like I create art fast enough or keep up with trends enough to have a presence on that platform. I don't know. What I've been doing lately, which is just essentially taking my drawing videos and cutting them down into 5 clips so that I have something to post every day, even though I'm not finishing art every day, seems to be working. But I also kind of feel like if I don't want social media to be a huge part of my marketing plan long term, I should probably be thoughtful about investing time in other platforms rather than social media, so that if and when I choose to leave those platforms entirely, I don't feel like I'm losing a significant chunk of my audience. But all of this to say, I'm half checking this off because I did create a plan for social media, but I didn't end up scheduling the content because I'm just not sure what the future looks like for me on these platforms. My next goal was to get 4 pieces done on top of commission orders. I have no clue what I was thinking with this. I priced my commissions assuming that they were going to take me 8 hours, and they ended up taking me 4 days of nonstop drawing. So needless to say, I did not finish this goal, but I did finish that 1 piece and I love it. My next goal that I also did not complete was figuring out paid ads. So because I'm pretty confident that I don't want organic social to be a huge part of my marketing plan, I've been trying to figure out what I want my marketing funnel to look like. Unfortunately, we've seen a lot of the tried and true digital marketing awareness tactics die off because of AI this year. SEO used to be a huge way to drive traffic to your site, but now that Google has AI summaries, people are less likely to scroll through organic results. I'm going to pause and do a voiceover because I don't feel like I explained this very well. Essentially what I was trying to say is that a lot of the awareness tactics that we traditionally think of are now a lot harder and a lot less effective because of AI. corporations are able to scale their communication efforts like crazy, and now they can send like constant sales emails, which means across all industries, email open rates have gone down, and artists that are trying to reach their audience with email newsletters are now getting buried in inboxes. On social media, everything is completely oversaturated with AI slop, and that's only going to get worse. And like I've mentioned, because the platform's goal is to keep people scrolling, it's a lot harder for artists to reach their followers, let alone drive traffic to their site. And even in-person events have become super oversaturated because of dropshippers and AI artists. And I've seen a lot of artists say that markets and conventions are barely worth it now because booth fees have skyrocketed and real artists are being pushed out by AI artists. Essentially, everything's oversaturated, everyone's burnt out, and it's really hard to stand out or be seen. I'm considering starting a series called something like Digital Marketing is Dead to talk about how to navigate the changing digital marketing landscape and some creative kind of future-proof marketing tactics that are based more on authentic connections instead of trying to compete for attention in traditional digital marketing spaces that are now just so oversaturated because of AI. So if y'all would be interested in that, let me know. Anyway, this was a huge tangent to say that paid marketing is kind of the final frontier for me. I used to work as a marketing strategist and then a director of marketing, so I feel like I'm pretty familiar with most digital marketing tactics, but when I worked in an ad agency, we had kind of a sister agency that handled paid media, so it's something that I've never really understood. So if and when I do a series about digital marketing, I want to make sure that I have a deep understanding of which tactics are still viable to bring traffic to your website. I tried out Google Ads last month, but I am just so suspicious of it. Google is a for-profit company that offers a lot of their services and technologies for free. So obviously a huge chunk of their money is coming from advertisers who are paying for pay-per-click ads. So they're not necessarily incentivized to find you good qualified leads. They're just incentivized to get as many clicks as possible on your ad because that's what you're paying them for. I turned on ads for 3 days last month. According to the Google Ads platform, those ads got over 500 clicks. But according to my traffic analytics, both on Google Analytics and within the Wix platform, my website only got 10 visitors more than usual on those days. And the traffic that was attributed to paid search had a 0-second engagement rate. Obviously, this is because of my own inexperience. I'm sure people who work in paid media don't have this problem because I'm sure that there's very simple ways to filter out bot traffic. And I'm also sure that I can optimize my targeting to make sure that I'm only serving ads to people who have already engaged with my site. But needless to say, I wasted a lot of money by not knowing what I was doing. So I want to take a step back and make sure that I actually understand paid media strategy before I try this out again so that I can make sure that I'm not wasting my money. I also made a little progress on learning meta ads, but Meta Business Suite makes me actually want to rip my hair out, so I'm also taking a break on that one. My next goal was to build a content plan and print release schedule for this entire year. So I did do this one. I really tried to hone in on understanding who my audiences are and what they care about hearing from me, and I really tried to think about what a marketing plan would look like if I don't rely on organic social media. If y'all are interested in that digital marketing series that I was talking about, I'll probably create some templates based on what I created to plan my own marketing plan so that you can use them as you plan your businesses as well. Next was to build an outreach plan. This was included in the planning that I just mentioned, so I did this as well. And then my last goal that I did not get to this month was starting a separate Instagram to promote my Etsy. So as I consider what the future of my business looks like, I do think Etsy is going to play a larger role than I initially expected, at least for now. Eventually, I want to do a lot more local in-person stuff. I also want to have a solid, repeatable marketing strategy to drive traffic to my site, but building a local presence, building an audience, building any sort of authority in my website takes a lot of time, a lot of consistency, and a larger collection of work and content than I have right now. So knowing that that will take a lot of time and knowing that I need a cash flow faster than that, in the meantime, I really want to focus on Etsy because I feel a little more confident that Etsy is able to drive traffic and find customers for me. In my last check-in video, I mentioned that if I was able to get 4 months ahead on content scheduling, I was going to reward myself by giving myself permission to get distracted on a side project. That side project was to create 25 new Etsy listings and a new Instagram to promote that Etsy. But after a lot of thinking, I think it might be smart to make make that side project my main thing for a little bit. A, because I feel fairly confident that I can expand it easily because it's built off of a lot of work that I already have. And B, because I really want the time and freedom to tackle Green Velvet as slowly and thoughtfully as I initially planned. Even though I've been struggling a lot with figuring out what to do with my Instagram, the concept that I have for this Etsy is something that I feel like will do really well on Instagram. So I'm excited to test out promoting it there, but it's also something that I feel like will get a good amount of traffic on Etsy alone. Anyway, I'm halfway through making a video about it, so it'll be posted very soon. All right, let's get into performance metrics. When I sent out my January newsletter, I had 18 people on my email list. When I sent last month's, I had 58 people on my list. And by the time I send this month's, I'll have at least 80 on my email list. So that is definitely something to celebrate. I sent my monthly email newsletter at the very end of February to announce that my March commission requests were open. 45 out of 58 people opened the email, which is a 77% open rate, but it only got 5 clicks, so an 8.6% open rate. If you're on my email list already, I would love to hear what you want to see from these emails, whether it's stories, in progress work, something exclusive, a discount. I want to make sure that these emails are providing value to you every month. So let me know what you'd like to see. And if you're an artist with a successful email list, I would love to hear what works for you. This is something that I would really love to grow. In my last couple emails, I was asking people to reply to whatever I was talking about, and I've loved the conversations that have happened because of these. So one of the benchmarks that I've been working toward is getting monetized on YouTube. When I built my initial plan, I estimated that this would happen by June, and even that felt unrealistic. But as you'll see from my YouTube metrics, I did get monetized last month, which is very exciting. I met the criteria on the very last day of February and can now make money off of my videos. So March will be really interesting for me to get kind of a better look at what money I can actually make off of making these videos. But thank you all so much for getting me to this point. I'm very excited about it. And if there's anything that you want me to talk about or anything that you want to learn from this channel, please let me know. I want this channel to be informative and educational and a place where we can all support each other. So let me know in the comments what would be interesting to you and I will add it to my list. Anyway, looking at the actual metrics, I got 41,562 views, which was a 98% increase from the month before. I had 2,698 watch time hours, which was a 90% increase. I gained 1,803 subscribers, and from the 1 day of monetization in February, I gained a whopping $1.52. Moving to Instagram, for all my bitching about social media, I am really proud of the growth that I saw on this platform last month. I'm really happy to see that 103 people visited my website from Instagram. However, because I was pushing my commission giveaway so hard last month, that was the link in my bio. So none of that traffic actually went to a sales page, but still really good to see that people were going to my website at all. I got 10,508 views, which was an 8,538% increase from the month before. I gained 201 followers, and I got 597 engagements, which was a 5,300% increase from the month before. I'm really happy to see this growth because I was posting the content that doesn't drain me, and I really didn't think people were going to stick around to just watch videos of me drawing lines over and over, but I'm very happy that it's been engaging to people. Same on TikTok. Last month I didn't get any website visits, I didn't gain any followers, and even though I was posting the same content on TikTok and Instagram, it was getting almost no views on TikTok. This month I did get 3,653 views, which was a 388% increase from the month before. 5 people visited my website, which is much better than 0. I did gain 21 followers and I got 340 engagements. Now looking at my sales metrics. So on Etsy, I made about $600, which accounted for 64% of my revenue last month. And then on my website, my full revenue is not shown here because the way that I had my commission set up last month, you only had to pay a retainer fee on my website and then I would bill the rest through PayPal. It's now set up where you pay the entire amount on my website, but that's the reason for the discrepancy between this screenshot and the number I'm about to say. So in total, I made $332 on my website, which was 36% of my total revenue. Looking at how that broke down between commissions versus prints and apparel, 75% of my revenue, so $702, came from commissions, and then 25% or $230 came from prints and apparel. 9 of the commissions that I sold last month were dog paintings, One was an architectural drawing, and then I also sold a Fox and Crow shirt, a Rat Race print, and 3 Collectors Club subscriptions. All right, now looking at my benchmarks. If this is the first video that you're watching for me, I consider goals things that I have control over, and then benchmarks as things that I want to achieve, but that depend on other people's behavior. So my first benchmark is selling 10 commissions a month, and I did achieve this. I'm very excited that I met this goal. I love doing these dog paintings, and I love hearing about your dogs, so keep them coming. My next benchmark was to consistently sell 30 prints a month. I only sold 1, so I was about 3% of the way toward this goal. When I talk about taking time to build the right audience, this is the metric that I want to improve. Marketing commissions makes a lot of sense to me because it's so much easier for me to wrap my head around marketing a service compared to a product. Finding the right audience for these dog paintings is easy because it's just people who own a dog or people who are giving a gift to someone who has a dog. And dog lovers are diehard fans of their own dog. So it's an easy sell to essentially say, oh, you didn't find anything on the internet that you want to buy? Don't worry, I will make you exactly what you want from scratch. It's a little harder for me to find an audience for my fables and folklore and Cincinnati urban legend prints because that niche of people who care about the subject matter and people who like my art style is a lot smaller than just people who want you to draw their dog. It's also tough because nobody is necessarily Googling frog and scorpion Victorian bookplate print, and a lot of people within kind of my dream audience are shopping at thrift stores and antique stores and oddity shops. They're not necessarily shopping online. I do have some creative ideas for how to reach this audience, but they are all going to take time, and I know that I can't expect to build that community overnight. Okay, I already spoiled this one, but I did reach YouTube monetization criteria last month. This happened way sooner than I expected it to, and I'm very grateful. My next goal was to consistently make 30 Etsy sales per month. I had 10 sales, so I was about 33% of the way toward this goal. I am going to be posting a video soon where I challenge myself to make 25 new listings on Etsy, so hopefully this number will go up next month. My next goal was to sell prints in 3 to 5 physical locations. I did not work on this one, so I was 0% of the way there. And then my last benchmark was to meet my monthly revenue goals. My sales goal for February was $1,000. I made $930. So I was 93% of the way toward this goal. Even though I can't officially check this off because I didn't meet the goal, I'm very happy that I was so close to reaching it. And then lastly, my March to-do list. So in March, I'm hoping to create 25 new Etsy listings, create a new Instagram to promote Etsy, learn paid ad strategy, get a part-time job, and find a low-effort solution for social media. Thank you so much for following along this journey. It still definitely feels like I'm kind of stumbling along in the dark, but I'm still moving forward, so that's great. If you're new here, I hope you'll stick around. Feel free to browse my website, and as always, I'm glad you're here. Thank you for listening.